Bună ziua! Vă mulțumesc pentru invitație la acest eveniment elegant și frumos din partea CertAsig. Noi suntem foarte mândri să fie parteneri. Probabil știți că business modelul nostru este dedicat la brocoli, adică anul trecut 98% din prima brută subscrisă a fost din canal de brocoli, 2% a fost clienți direct, dar este strategia bine selecționată pentru noi, pentru că nu avem rețea de canal de distribuție sau vânzare direct. Dar cu produsul nostru este mult mai bine să lucrezi cu brocoli și evident noi am observat că în piața română 78% din prima brută subscrisă non-viață este cu brocoli. Acum 10 ani a fost aproximativ 30%, adică dezvoltarea este foarte impresionant. Această prezentare este elaborată în limba engleză. Dacă se poate schimba în limba engleză, dacă se poate. So if you don't mind, I will switch to English. I think it's probably less painful for you and certainly easier for me. Today I just want to run through some of the challenges that CertAsig and my colleagues have identified as potential areas where we feel our broker partners will need to focus even more than they do now in respect of the Insurance Distribution Directive. I know this morning that the directive was discussed in some detail at quite a high level, but CertAsig, because we work with brokers every day, not just in Romania, by the way, but in Bulgaria, Turkey as well, and potentially other countries in the region, we feel we're well positioned to sort of make comments and predict how things will evolve in the next year or two. So without repeating what was no doubt discussed this morning, and I'm sorry I was in another conference, so I didn't hear everything, in a nutshell, the IDD aims to protect consumers, and clearly brokers with such an important share of the market need to focus very carefully on how they ensure that their clients and customers get what they need at the right prices. So what I've done here is I've thought about some of the brokers we work with, in fact all of the brokers, small, medium, large, and tried to think of how I would or how my team would be if we were managing a broker. What questions would we ask ourselves? How would we look at the internal culture of the organization? And I list here some of the questions. How would we market the products? How would we go to the market? Does the board of directors of the broker actually take an interest in how they approach clients? Do they take an interest? If the answer is no, I think this would be a disaster, but I'm sure that it's not like this. After post-sale, after the policies have been distributed, is there product follow-up? Are consumers interviewed? Are they contacted? How do brokers really know? And how will they know if they've sold the right product at the right price? Is the coverage correct? What about the target markets? How should brokers work? Are they focused on retail? Are they looking at corporate? Do they want to do both? How will they approach those segments? These are questions that the broker should be asking. And how are customers addressed in terms of the premiums? Do they know that brokers earn commissions? Do consumers, customers know when they're working with agents that the agent actually works with a broker, perhaps in Bucharest, in a big city? Do they know that commission is shared between the main headquarters and the agent broker? Is this something that should be communicated, and if it should, when? Should it be communicated? The consumer, if they know there's a commission involved, will know that the value is added by the broker. If there's zero commission, perhaps they feel that the broker's doing nothing. And what about the nature of the commission? Should it be a fixed fee or should it be a commission? There is a slight conflict with commissions because ultimately a broker should be getting the best price, the lowest premium for his client, assuming the coverage and the nature of the cover are correct. A larger premium, of course, means a bigger commission. The broker earns more. He's happier, perhaps. But perhaps that shouldn't be the way. Perhaps it should be a lower premium and a lower commission. Actually, the lower commission means probably he's done a better job, assuming the coverage is correct. This potentially is a conflict, and what we've seen, particularly in Western European markets, when I was working in London and working in some of the Western European countries, there were often disputes over the levels of commission and how it should be shared. And this is something that we should be avoided in Romania in this region. And then at what point should remuneration be communicated? Should it be when the quote is delivered to the potentially insured, to the policyholder, or should it be later? These are big questions, and I'm sure brokers will make the right decisions, but they're tough questions the brokers need to ask themselves. How, what, and when? Now, one of the main aims of the Insurance Distribution Directive is to encourage transparency across all parties, so not just for policyholders, but for brokers and insurers. And brokers that we deal with, we feel are transparent in Romania. We think there could be more transparency. Perhaps sometimes the speed of transaction means that certain processes are not always adhered to. Certain processes perhaps are not documented. Some processes and procedures are in place, but they're not necessarily formalized. And from an insurance company point of view, CertAsig, like all the players here in Romania, complies with Solvency II. And Solvency II was a very important directive, a very important one. And many of the things that Solvency II demanded of insurers were being done. They were adhered to even before 2016. But we didn't have formal procedures necessarily documented about those procedures. So I suggest and would expect some of the brokers in the Romanian market and Central and Eastern Europe to have these procedures, but to formally document and have some kind of audit trail. Ultimately, what one should avoid is a situation where the client comes to the insurer or the broker disappointed when they have a claim. They have a product that they didn't realize worked in a certain way. They have a claim which they thought would be covered and it's not covered. And of course, they will feel that they've paid too much for this product. It was missold. This is something that needs to be avoided. And with good procedures, this risk is surely mitigated. In the Romanian market, I'm delighted to see, as a niche insurance company, which CertAsig is, a non-motor, non-life, non-retail insurer, much innovation from brokers, and this is great news, and it's very necessary for the market. If you look in Western Europe, the Lloyd's market, the US, North American markets, you'll see hundreds of different types of insurance policy that have never touched the soils of Romania. But I'm sure in the future they will arrive. So brokers have a very important role here, and I can understand the necessity for innovation. The FIAR market, the motor third-party liability market, is not such an exciting one in terms of earning power from brokers. We're very realistic and commercial in our view here. So I can understand that priorities to sell non-motor products increase dramatically. But there are some pitfalls. Brokers here need to be very careful that they review their products as they innovate. They take some time to check that actually the new product they're trying to use really suits what their client wants. Clearly, it's good to diversify a portfolio, but it needs to be done in a responsible and sustainable way. One or two conclusions. The IDD, I would say, and I think it's the general view of everybody today, and in previous conferences, that it's a very welcome and much needed change. Clearly, we want to avoid mis-selling incidents, particularly on pensions and life, which would seem to attract some of these, the longer term policies where there's a longer duration of policies and perhaps consumers forget that they have certain types of insurance in place. What is also important is that the documentation of products is accurate. Brokers need to show that they've understood what their client needs, not just because they had a meeting, but there needs to be something documented. Know your client. In this respect, I'm sidetracking slightly, but the big advantage of working with brokers is, for CertAsig, is that we consider the brokers very professional, they're regulated, they're highly educated and trained, and we avoid contact with customers and clients, which, to be honest, can be very difficult. Selling them an insurance for a drone or a garantia de licitatia, a bond insurance, a bid bond insurance can be very complicated. Many clients don't really understand what the coverage is, and it takes a lot of time to explain the coverage and to compare the various quotes. So the role of the broker in Romania is very, very important for many of the insurers, not only CertAsig. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, with 78% of gross written premiums from the non-life market being intermediated by brokers, brokers have a huge role. Finally, the principles of the Insurance Distribution Directive can only be positive. They should make insurance as an industry more visible, more transparent, and improve awareness and trust. And I think, with these good points in mind, it certainly will be a success. It will certainly be a challenge. And I think brokers, our business partners, will have to work hard to comply, but it will be a worthwhile effort. And I wish you all the best of luck for this year and next year. Thank you very much.